Hi everyone, Simon from Horoma Studio. Today we're going to do a little teardown of my own work again. Compared with last month, this one is going to be quite different because I have way more documents to show you, and it's a longer series of images. It's also a little bit more, say, like recent, so like the images are actually okay. So it's more going to be like to show you like the process of how things go forward with the client, and how like what type of things are changing, what types of things are kept, and how we chose like the point of view, for instance. So let's get started. So the project itself so this is the series of the final images. There are like a couple of others, but we'll see that later. So this is like sort of a alternative space where there's like supposed to be a lot of stuff happening. So, and it is like mostly an existing factory existing and near Metz in France. So the whole point was to show like the existing and how like the new project was gonna invest the existing, and how like basically we're gonna show like a lot of like busyness and like a lot of people, like startups and really diverse activities should take place in the space, in the overall space, and basically activate the space throughout the whole day and week and month and year. So the idea was to have like different time of the day and different types of activities. So a couple of things I can show you first, even though they're not the most compelling, is the like tiny point of view research. But okay, so the point of view, I don't have like that many to show, but basically there was this sort of like internal street that we sort of tried to see like different point of views that could work. There was like the interior activities, and then it was mostly about like this new like waterfront that we were trying to play with. So there were like different types of eye level, different types of orientation, etc. There was like frontal view, some sort of stuff with like nice willow trees, etc. One from a bridge that was just adjacent to the projects, and things like that. So this was a sort of a short, like can't really show you the whole research, but basically we ended up with this point of view for the main ones. This is horrible. For the main one, because there was this idea of like activating, as I said, the waterfront, and showing that we could like have a nice walking area next to the project and have like different views of the project. Now that I see the other one that was from the bridge, it was an interesting one. I'm not entirely sure why we ditched it, but because it could have been like made this whole part a little bit more legible. But at the same time, I think it was really about like the relationship at the ground level, if I may say. So another thing I wanted to show you as well is the work in progress images. So hopefully, as you can see, this is like another point of view that was chosen in the first phase. This one is, so you can see like the difference between version 1, I think version 1 to version 0. This one is slightly less contrasted, but it was for printing purposes. But you can see like some stuff happening with the this thing here that was not properly textured, and you couldn't really understand what was going on. There's like a lot of small details happening with the numbers on top, and like integration of people being slightly more decent. So that was the thing. For this one, there was like quite a bit of change with the actual pattern on the floor, and the overall activity was already there quite early in the process, but it was quite fun. This one, you can see this was like the first first version, really just to start to activate the space. Then we completely changed the because the thing is that it's actually a quite simple, like the water in front is supposed to be super calm, whereas here we're like, this is a huge lake or whatever. So this is like an actual photograph on the right from the space. The cutting is really bad, and there was like this like the totems, like the big yellow things of the containers, were supposed to be like the how can I say, like signals throughout the whole project. So here we were like sort of experimenting with texturing, but in the end we went with something way more simpler, and the same with the lighting system. This one is interesting because we were like thinking we need to do like a night rendering of the project, and as you can see, this one is extremely bad. This is the second version where we had like a little bit more of sun, but we were losing this idea of like we actually need like this to feel like it's the night image or like a night activities. So this one is, I think, almost the final ones, which as you can see has way more work in terms of hue and like the overall color palette compared with this or this shit here. So that was an interesting evolution, and I have to admit I was a bit scared when I was sending that to the clients, because I was like, yeah, this really looks like crap. I could picture something in my head, but it was not what I was actually sending. But in the end I managed to get something that I was really happy with, so that was nice. And the overall framing was pretty efficient as well, but I'll get back to it later. Here was an interior view for like a sort of a hipsterish startup. So the thing is that we had this at first, but it was a bit too like clean. So then we went with something a little bit more messier, with like more people, etc., which was starting to look quite nice. And then I think this is the final. Yeah, no, we of course needed to change the fridge, but basically you can see, oh, I actually have the same girl 2 fucking times. Good job. But yeah, you can see like this is like way more messy, like more vibey and blah blah blah. So it was pretty nice. Even though this is a small detail that the fridge is changing, it actually like the fridge was catching a lot of attention when you think about it, because it's like way more saturated in the middle of the image, and it's like a pattern that catches your eye. So like having it like simple green like that was okay. And of course the good thing is that this could have been done in post-production, because I had the reflection pass, so it was pretty easy to change actually. This as well evolved quite a bit in an interesting way, because we had like, well, the actual project changed, but there were like many small details. Here you can see there was like only natural light. There was like starting to be artificial lighting a little bit more defined, and here was like actually I think the final image kind of. There's like stuff for like the integration of the people in the foreground that is not really working, but it's because it's a weird angle. And I didn't do like the best job for that, honestly. I think there could have been like some stuff done better. But beside that, that's the overall thing. So I think it's quite interesting to see like the evolution of the image. Now I can take like a couple of minutes to have a look at, I think, these two. This image, I don't think we've seen it, but it was like basically the second version of the one we saw that was here, because we needed to basically merge the image that was doing the street here and the one here. So we basically step out or step back a little. It's not the same type of image exactly, but it still has the same type of nice vibe. I think the lighting here could have been like slightly better managed so that we have like more highlight here, but overall it was a good image. And I quite like the pattern on the floor that sort of continues until the area here, which is something we work here. This image was really fun to work on, because there's like all this type of different activities I was talking about, and this giant pigeon here that for some reason stayed until the end. But I guess I guess I insisted on it, and I found it like to have like a nice focal point that is a bit like how can I say, yeah, weird or a bit nerdy. So that was the thing. As I said, I'm gonna focus for some reason on both exterior images here, I guess, or maybe just this one, to do like a more normal teardown. Oh, actually one thing I can do, and that I think was pretty efficient on this image, on this series of image, and that I talked about in my last teardown, and that I said was not properly made, and that's here is actually okay, is the color palette that has been used and the lighting consistency, or like not consistency necessarily, but like the fact that they work together. So here you can see that the color of the sky is kind of matching. This one, even though it's a night image, has a matching color palette. Also the fact that we have all these sort of totems sort of create a really nice connection in between the images. And also, like basically the whole, if I look at like in terms of, like here you can see that the contrast is pretty homogeneous throughout in terms of intensity, is pretty homogeneous throughout the series of image. If you look at the saturation, it's the same. This is pretty much the same. Here, this one is quite saturated for some reason, but it's, well, actually doesn't catch too much the eye in the real like version, if I can say. And here in terms of hue, you can see that the blue are pretty homogeneous, and same for the wood, etc. So this is why the image, when you print it on like panels and you put them side by side, they actually look okay, which is something you have to always keep in mind when you do a series of image for a client. If you know they're going to display them individually, then it's fine. But if you know they're going to display them as a series or a sequence of images, then you need to make sure they actually do work together. I'm going to be quite short, as I said, but I'm going to focus on this one. So composition-wise, I think it was a good call. One thing that I think was working pretty well is like this idea of having like the two people here looking that way, so that redirects your attention here in the same way that this diagonal here sort of with the contrast closes and opens, basically like closes this part and opens on this part, which was the whole goal basically. But it's good when it works. One thing that I don't know why I didn't notice it, but this foliage here, where's my red? Oh, why are you over here? Here, sorry. The foliage here seems super oversized, which is super weird. I should have gotten rid of it and put actually like a 2D like corner cutout. It would have been much better, I think, because like here it looks a bit weird, but it's fine. The overall animation I think is okay, even though I think the issue I'm seeing now is that this is a bit broken, because this is the main access to the project, or like one of the main access. Every time you have like one of these things, it's supposed to be a main access. So you have one here, which is for the night render, and one here, which is for another part. So this is fine. I think the aerial perspective was pretty nice. Could have been a bit more well integrated. There's something weird going on with the reflection. I'm not sure I've taken the time to put the people, because punctually they should be here. Well, I think they are, but maybe I've been a bit too careless. In terms of textures, there are like stuff. The thing is that things were not completely clear at the time of doing the image, but this looks a bit like too homogeneous to me. So that's the thing. I think overall we do read properly the project, which is the most important part. And we do read like the little gathering points. So this is quite interesting. I really think this shouldn't have been like that. I don't know why I kept it that way. This is a bit bothering me now that I see it. In terms of colors, I think it's fine. The project in itself is actually pretty simple, in the sense that the color palette was like existing, then dark, almost black metal, and the really bright white, bright yellow containers. So once these are legible, which is the case in our image here, it was pretty okay. I think in terms of animation, I could have gone a bit further and had like more people, but yeah, I think it could have been slightly more populated. In terms of colors, I said everything seems fine to me. Contrast, etc. is the same. I think it's like a pretty balanced image overall, so it's okay. So that's it. I won't do like a teardown or like a more thorough analysis of the other images. I think the whole point here that I wanted to show you was like the evolution of the image. so that you understand whatever, I'm sure you understand it, but like to see that sometimes the first image can actually look like shit and then it really goes like that, and then the final image is like much better. Whereas sometimes actually you can have like a great idea and then it just like does this and you actually end up with a shitty image at the end, which is definitely not what you want to go through. And I think the best way to actually start from something that doesn't look good but that is conceptually interesting is to be perfectly clear and like explain your concepts properly to your client so that he basically follows you, he or she follows you. So that's the main thing I'm basically trying to teach lately. So we'll see if it works. I think I'll stop here. So yeah, I hope you found the video interesting and that again, this new format is interesting you and that you find new tips and basically points of concerns that are like interesting you. If you ever have like any questions regarding the project, regarding the process, regarding whatever, don't hesitate to comment in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and we'll be happy to exchange ideas and experience with you. So yeah, cheers guys, and see you in the next video.